What on earth could be frightening her so much that you find her yelling and causing commotion around the hospital? With more than 20 years of experience, Nurse Mabin is a skilled nurse, but in all that time, she had never witnessed anything as terrifying as what she saw in the Sleeping Beauty Girls ward. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. It's fascinating to note that the two phrases, Sleeping Beauty, accurately summed up and portrayed the tale of our primary heroine, Luz Maria, for more than 15 years. When Maria was discovered asleep on the sidewalk of one of the busiest routes in the city 15 years ago, she was only 8 years old. The young child was put on a life support system and was in a coma. By looking at her uniform, they could determine which school she attended. The little girl was one of those students who came to school alone, according to the school administration, and no one had ever seen or known her parents. Searches for Maria's parents yielded no results. It also meant that her hospital costs were unpaid. Would her parents ultimately come forward, or would they abandon the little child to die? Maria's parents, Sergio and Catalina, eventually visited the hospital a few weeks later. After years of trying, the elderly couple Sergio and Catalina ultimately became parents. Catalina knew they wouldn't be able to pay their daughter's expenses, so she broke down in tears when the hospital personnel informed them of the cost of keeping their daughter alive. Without making any statement, she just left the doctor's office. Although everyone in the hospital had grown to like Maria and feel bad for her, Sergio issued the order to remove Maria from life support. They were opposed to her passing away. Some, like Nurse Mabin, even regarded her like their own daughter. She was the one who conversed with Maria the most and occasionally even performed music for her. Observing Mabin's level of care for the young girl, one would assume that Mabin was more than just a nurse. It would be okay if you assumed they were connected. She was maybe her guardian angel as well as her primary caregiver. Maria's beautiful facial characteristics earned her the nickname Sleeping Beauty from the medical personnel. Mabin organized her coworkers to pool their resources and pay a portion of the girl's medical expenses. That's how much they all loved Maria, they all agreed. Out of all the hospital staff, Dr. Eduardo made the most contribution. He is in charge of the hospital as the medical director. Dr. Eduardo treated Maria with the same kindness as Mabin did. Mabin also created a GoFundMe page to aid with the girl's medical expenses, since she realized her co-workers would not be able to cover them for very long. The elderly couple also faced difficulties traveling to and from the hospital from the residence of Maria's parents. "It's hard for us to be here for Maria every day," Catalina stated to Mabin. "Sergio has a wheelchair, so I can only take him here sometimes. My health suffers greatly while I am here at my daughter's side, as much as I would like to. Already you resemble her second mother. Could you take care of her on my behalf? Once or twice a week is when I would make sure to be here." Mabin accepted and felt privileged to be in charge of Maria. Catalina died a few months later. Since her daughter Maria had been unconscious for more than 14 years, most people had given up hope that she would ever wake up. The only people who held on to hope were Mabin and Sergio. Maria had matured into a stunning lady and was no longer a little child. She had yet to experience her adolescent years. She had never gone to prom or high school. If and when Maria wakes up, she will be a stranger in her own skin, in a foreign land, without her mother, and saddled with obligations that befit a young lady. She would be a young adult in the body of an 8-year-old sleeping beauty, had to adjust to this new world. One day, Mabin got into a rather bad accident while traveling to work. She was forced to use a wheelchair after the tragedy, and the doctors estimated that her recovery would take many months. Dr. Eduardo was left to take care of Maria as Mabin was not present. After a while, Dr. Eduardo was informed by a nurse that Maria hadn't had her period in a long time. After doing some tests, the doctor concluded that Maria's menstruation was irregular. There was no need to be concerned. When Nurse Mabin was not at Maria's side, she felt uncomfortable. She went so far as to ask Dr. Eduardo to periodically give her images and videos so she could see how the girl was doing. Mabin needed half a year to heal from her wounds. She didn't hesitate to see Maria in the hospital as soon as she was cleared to walk once more. According to the nurse, she was just as happy as a mother who hadn't seen her kid in more than 180 days. However, Mabin saw something unusual, or possibly hidden, when she saw Maria. Why did Maria's appearance change so much? Yes, Mabin saw that she had gained weight in those 6 months, but she had also grown as well, Mabin whispered. When she raised the covers, the 47-year-old nurse was stunned by what she saw. Mabin couldn't comprehend it. Instead, she just ran out of the room screaming Dr. Eduardo's name. The first nurse she met in the corridor told her he wouldn't be in the hospital for the next 2 days. She asked her several times what the problem was, but Mabin wasn't able to utter a word. Rather, she dragged the nurse to Maria's ward to see for herself. Mabin stammered as she said, "How is she pregnant?" "She is pregnant, isn't she? Her stomach looks slightly bigger and she's added weight, so she has to be pregnant." As more medical professionals entered the room, one of the nurses said that although they had seen improvements, Dr. Eduardo's testing had shown otherwise. Mabin insisted on running fresh tests in case anything had changed. Maria's suspicions were validated by the test results. She was pregnant. However, this Maria did not have the same intervention as Jesus' mother. It is likely that someone used her. Mabin objected and suggested conducting an internal probe instead. Sergio was incensed and called the police after learning of what had transpired. After Maria's baby daughter was delivered via C-section 2 months later, the search for the father started. All male hospital staff members were required to submit to DNA testing. Who then is Maria's daughter's father? The test findings showed that Dr. Eduardo was the one who had exploited Maria. He had made sure that every attempt to bring him to light had failed by using his position. The nurses said that in some manner, he was the one who performed the tests whenever any of them had any suspicions. He would have undermined her efforts too if he'd been alive when Mabin came back. But upon the completion of the DNA testing, Dr. Eduardo was nowhere to be found. Dr. Eduardo's monthly cash donation was necessary for them to continue maintaining Maria's life support. She wasn't prepared to give up on Maria, even though everyone at Mabin felt that letting her leave was the wisest course of action. She then launched a Hail Mary. Mabin laid Sleeping Beauty on Maria's chest right before they unplugged her from the machine. The infant cried non-stop, but after a little while she was content to lie on her mother's body. Maria's corpse seemed to have calmed the tempest. Sergio, Mabin, and most of the hospital staff watched in hope that, after 15 years, they may finally obtain a miracle, while everyone else was mouthing their hearts. And I think they deserve a miracle, because if it weren't, Maria would be dying. But sometimes, things don't work out the way you had planned. After waiting for a few minutes, the miracle did not occur. Mabin tried to hold back her emotions, but she was unable to stop sobbing as she stood in one corner of the hospital. The infant, now sleepy, was scooped up by one of the other nurses. That's when it occurred, when the young child started wailing again and everyone gave in to fate. Maria opened her eyes again for the first time in over 5,400 days, resembling a phoenix emerging from the ashes. She only said, "Water." While Sergio was glad to have his daughter back, Maria's life will never be the same. Similar to Mabin, I suppose we might also refer to Sleeping Beauty as her daughter. How do you feel about the story of Mabin and Maria? Till we meet again, be careful. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.